And there's some lovely stuff on this album. I've been listening to Grace Wastelands, and the first single, was it always going to be Last of the English Roses? Because there's a few, if I were in charge of this album, there's a couple of tracks that I would put out as a single on it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the last track, the Lady Don't Fall Backwards, I think is a natural single. I think it's a beautiful song. Yeah. It's big.
You know, I didn't, to be honest, and, you know, I wouldn't, this is not knocking, I mean, people at EMI and whoever, you know, the forces that be, see this as like criticising my own work and being negative about the record, but it's not. But I've always said I don't think there are any singles on this album, you know? And I wasn't really sure that any songs should be released as singles, you know? And I thought if we're going to do any singles as a solo artist...
Director's commentary. Peter is being distracted by...
You were listening to her in the car.
Marianne Faithfull.
It is that, Marianne Faithfull. Peter Doherty does smack just to get attention and to make him feel special. Absolute bollocks.
Is that what she says? That's in the current... I'm now looking at the current issue of NME, which is a very old picture of Marianne Faithfull.
Do you know what? I had a lot of time with Marianne Faithfull, but... I'd like to state, Marianne Faithfull, right... You're a despicable old hag. You know? The last reason anyone would do smack would be to get noticed. You do it for the opposite reason. You do it to hide away, you know, or to make people ignore you. You know, you do it to get noticed.
And the problem is that because of the last 5-6 years of your life, you inspire devotion and hostility in kind of equal measure, but which is harder to deal with on a day-to-day basis? Because that's hostile. What she said there is really unfair. But people out there, you know, have opinions about you which you have no control over.
Yeah, I mean, that's just petty. But that's like bullying to me. You know, she's never met me. You know, that's really sad. Anyway, she was a right old skaghead, Marianne Faithfull.
But do you take it personally? Obviously, take it personally when people kind of have an adverse reaction to you because of how they perceive.
Yeah, of course, anyone would, wouldn't they? You know, you can't. You know, no matter how corrupted your mind can become by fame, you can't help but still retain that basic vanity of a human being who's going to be personally offended by someone saying something about them or their behaviour or their appearance. You know, you're just human, really.
And apart from your music, which we'll talk about a bit more in a second, how would you want them to acknowledge that you kind of live your life in a day-to-day life? You know, what's the average Peter Doherty day? Is it normal like the rest of us?
I don't think that's pointless even to talk about. Yeah. Why would anyone care? Like, you know, it's not important, and it would lessen. Yeah, it would just take away from everything else.
I totally agree.
Who cares what I do in my day-to-day life? You know, I get up. Sometimes I have breakfast. I have been sleeping a lot recently though. I slept every night for the last 2 months.
So
and I recommend that. Definitely recommend that. I wish I'd cottoned on earlier to that one, you know? Saved a lot of heartache.
The album is lovely, but I think a lot of people will be surprised, because like you were just saying, there's not a lot of things that would immediately leap out as a single. And a lot of it is kind of more in the... sort of Jacques Brel. There's kind of there's a few country tinges in there. There's a extraordinary range, but it's all quite ballady. It's all quite sort of low and heartfelt.
Yeah, well, that's where my roots are as a songwriter, really. Even things like What a Waster and I Get Along, Death on the Stairs, things that were always upbeat. Even Fuck Forever, they all started out as like... Time for Heroes was like a really slow ballad at one point, you know? Mm-hmm. You know? We never wrote songs in a room with really loud guitars, always wrote them alone, and then, you know, we just dressed up and turned up, you know, because we want to have a crack at rock and roll.
So you rocked out with those songs, speeded them up, but actually at their heart, they're kind of emotional ballads.
Yeah.
And what I really like about the one of the things I like about it, and I've only had a little quick listen because of course I have to get it streamed from the record company, is that you seem to write beautifully, but as different characters. So you're a half Peter, half invented vessel in a lot of the songs, but they all seem to come from a very kind of real place.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think this album is getting closer and closer to me being completely myself, and I think I'm almost there. And I think the next one I'm gonna do it quite soon, is gonna be even more complete, where I can just say, in fact, you know, I won't even do any interviews about it. I'll just whack it out as quickly as possible. Yeah.
So there is you've got more songs ready to get down on tape.
Yeah.
From the songs, Salome's lovely, and having now, obviously Salome is the song of about the John the Baptist story, also as retold by Oscar Wilde. Whose head on a plate are you thinking of in that song? Because that resonates with me. I was thinking, like, you're taking the Dance of the Seven Veils, John the Baptist's head, but is there, when you see that head on a plate, is there anyone you see on the plate?
I see an empty plate. I just see an empty plate. Or a pig's head with an apple in its mouth. I don't know why.
Okay. Do you feel closer to the sort of idea of Oscar Wilde now that you've spent some time inside like he did?
Yeah, but God knows, I mean, things are a bit different, you know? In those days, I mean, yeah, it was barbaric. What did he say? If this is how Queen Victoria treats her prisoners, she doesn't deserve to have any. You know what I mean? If this is how Queen Victoria treats her convicts, she doesn't deserve any. Yeah. Laying on his bed, shaven-headed, covered in lice, scrubbing floors with a toothbrush. Mind you, I bet he got a bit of action, you know?
Yeah. It is, you know, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? The modern era, because it's different for you, but at the same time, the fact that you're so under the microscope means that it's different for different reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. You're under the microscope, but I'm not really under the microscope, I don't think. I've been saying that this person is just an evil twin, you know, this media character, right? And so much of it that's written isn't true. It's just not really me. It's just a big fictional creation, you know. I mean, look, are my fingernails that bad?
No,
they have been pretty bad in the past. So.
In the past, but yeah, you know, but we all have bad days, and it's just your bad days are they last forever because certain parts of the media will put them out there as if this is what Peter Doherty is like all the time, whereas it can't possibly be, because you wouldn't be sitting in front of me right now if that were true.
But shame
on them.